guys, I'm going to do a two-part video series here on the assembly of my Serpent 750 kit. Some of these tips and tricks can be utilised for other brands, makes and models, but I'm going to show you what I do with my 750 to get the most out of the kit build. Cheers. So you're going to want to start off with a clean workspace with all your tools and items needed organised. So you need parts trays, vernier calipers, your Dremel, sandpaper, stuff like that. Then you want to lay the bags out to make sure that you've got everything. Okay, so step one on any build is to open the first bag. Dispose of the rubbish. I like to check all the parts are there. Separate the screws, put them in the parts tray so you know where they are. I like to put my metal parts to one side and my plastic to another because we're going to get to work on the plastic parts in a second. It's really important to be organised throughout the whole build of your kit. Makes it a lot easier when you follow the steps. I'm just going to swap out all the little parts, organise it, make sure we've got everything. Step two is when you get your new kit, you want to remove all these little plastic moulding marks or flashings. A couple of ways you can do it: with a knife and just give it a scrape and a cut. I like to use a bit of sandpaper as well, and just to tidy that part up. This isn't a performance advantage as such, but definitely improves the look of your kit and makes items like these ball joints way easier to measure for length once you get to that stage. I like to also take the little bits off the caster clips. Some of the parts, taking the mold release off will let them move a bit freer in the arms. However, again, it just depends on the actual plastic part. I like to do it all in my arms as well. Most plastic parts will have mold marks. So for me, I just like to get rid of these. Makes the kit look a lot nicer once it's all put together. Nice and smooth. Do that with all your parts, front and rear. Looking nice. Okay, so here I'm just up to installing the arm mounts on the car. So at this point, any screw going into a metal or aluminium part, I always use a medium Loctite. You will be able to get them out. Don't use a heavy red Loctite. Just make sure you use something that you know that works for you. Nothing worse than building your kit and having screws fall out on the first test run. So just be vigilant with this one and always use a Loctite on those screws. Generally, when you pull your car apart to maintain and rebuild, you fill the thread up with some Loctite. So it's not important to do it all the time, but definitely on the first build, you want to use a good amount there on all the screws. Okay, so here I've got a hinge pin in my Dremel. I'm going to use my Auto Sol here, or metal polishing compound, to just polish up that hinge pin. So just add a small amount, grab your rag and wipe it over so when you turn your Dremel on it doesn't flick everywhere. We're going to give it a good polish on both sides. This is going to ensure the arm movement is free and smooth. It's really important to have that from day one of your new kit. Don't think that it's going to wear in or get better. You want to make sure that it's free and smooth straight away. So we're just going to do the other side now on the hinge pin. With the 750 rear lower arms, the hinge pin only moves in the arm mount bushings, so polishing the middle is not such a big idea, but definitely on the ends where it moves in that plastic bush. It also saves premature wear. You'll get a little bit longer out of your plastic parts, but this doesn't take too much time and it's a good idea on your first build. I'm just going to throw it through. You can see we've got the grub screw there. It's going to hold it in there. As we touched on in the last segment, you want to make sure that your arms fall under their own weight. This is really, really important. If they're too sloppy, add some shims, but make sure this is priority number one. Bulkhead alignment. So this is really critical for any new build. Generally, when you do maintenance on your car, you pull parts off in blocked segments. So when you're putting them together individually for the first time, it's important that you have everything lined up. I'll just loosen these screws on the lower bulkheads to show you just how much movement there is. You can see how much side to side movement there is. So the idea is to get these bulkheads lined up with the upper bulkheads and also your rear suspension brackets or shock towers. So the idea is that your bulkheads just slide straight in. They shouldn't clip, shouldn't need to push down or have any pressure to put them together. So the way we do this is by lining everything up and then slowly tightening each screw, nipping them up. And you can tell here that it's slipping in there nicely. So the other thing you want to make sure is your diff or drivetrain sits in there and moves freely. You should have some side to side movement as well, not too much, but definitely some. And ensure that that spins super free before you tighten anything up. You can install the upper bulkhead on that diff just to make sure that it's not going to rock and it's going to sit nicely. Be sure to clean all your metal parts. Sometimes from the factory there's some oil on there to stop bits from rusting in the boxes, especially on your brake parts. I usually like to use just some low strength brake clean. Be careful what brake clean you do use. Some are probably more potent than others. The other thing you can use is some methylated spirits also. But just ensure that you give everything a nice wipe down before you start assembly. Thanks for watching part 1 of this series. In part 2 we'll show you the front end engine installation and servo installation also. So be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks guys.